What's up, everybody? It's your favorite one-eyed Willie's favorite nerd, so to speak, and today we are looking at the Magic Square Shockwave. This is, of course, on loan to me from Robert D, so I appreciate his help. I would probably never get the opportunity to do so otherwise. He looks out for me, and I appreciate it. That being said, we're going to take a look at this guy. We do have some interesting conversations coming up soon on Sit Down Saturday about materials. It might actually be this coming Saturday, so this should kind of fit right in. With that being said, in order to take a look at this guy, we had to start with accessories. So first and foremost, he comes with hand options. You come with, or you, not you necessarily, but he does. He comes with 4 translucent pieces here, and all of these are to swap out at the wrist so that you can then use your hands, to plug into them. You know, and this is obviously the straight plastic and the translucent, but you get the idea, so that you don't have the color breakup. So pretty smart stuff. You get translucent and purple saluting hands. You get translucent and purple holding hands. You get translucent and purple opposite side holding hands. You get translucent open holding hand. That's an addition to the open holding hand that you saw in the initial footage. And then you get a holding hand for the opposite side so that he doesn't have to have his kind of laser hand at all. So all of those options are great to have. Now, while we're on the topic of hands, you can also use this battery, this bit, and this translucent option for the laser, and you can have a light up feature for his hand. We obviously aren't going to be doing that, but it's available to you. He comes with a backpack cover, just purple plastic, straight up. That can sit over top of his backpack, but maybe it's just mine, but I'll tell you, it is a tight fit. I don't recommend using it, to be honest. Like, I'll show you when we go over the figure how tight these gray pieces have to sit. It just feels like it's putting stress on the whole kit and caboodle. Looks good, doesn't feel good. You get 2 hoses, kind of self-explanatory, right? So it plugs into his forearm and into this little bit there, and that will secure it. I'm not gonna waste too much time. I'm not gonna keep it in anyway, so to speak. But I would recommend, if you're gonna use the backpack, to do it before you put the backpack on. You get his blaster, and it's like his alt mode, right? Peg for his hand, purple plastic. This is not like solid on there, but it's kind of a bummer. Kind of feels a bit less than, but you know, decent enough, I suppose. Good news is he'll hold it just fine. All right, so let's talk about the figure. The head is on a ball peg, and it has light piping in the back. You know how I feel about that. I'm not a huge fan, so not crazy about it, even for a Legends figure. The ears are painted, and you get a full range up, a little bit down, I think enough, and then a swivel, and then a confused Shockwave look. So articulation, we're good across the board. Then we have the chest body area. You have the translucent piece there at the front, hiding the silver bits underneath, which does give a cool effect. The shoulders are on a hinge at the body that come out to a separate hinge that basically acts as a universal at the shoulder. Using both, you get the arms all the way up like Remy and Fat Joe, and you can get the full 360 around. Screws in the back, I might add. You don't always see that with Legends class figures. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow. Gets you a good run. And we have the wrist swivel. Now, these materials, guess what? They're starting to feel a little bit better. And it looks like it's mainly because they're less nylon-y. I have a conversation, like I said, coming about that, maybe more, and if you're on Patreon, you'll hear much more about it. All right, same for the other side, except obviously there's no wrist swivel, but you can, no, you can swivel that out, so. Nope, locked in place. Let's see what else. Okay, so we have a waist swivel. We have an ab crunch that gets you all the way over, so no issues there. We have hip skirts, I thought, on the side maybe. Looks like they're on the side. Yeah. Any on the front? No. But we have drop-down T-jointed ball joints for hips. So using the hip skirts, you can get the full Van Damme. Using the drop-down, you can pretty much get the full Monty. I say let's give it to him. Where the ball peg plugs in, you get the swivel. You also get an additional swivel for the thigh at the cut joint, so no issues there. Then you get some nice sculpted detail there too. A double jointed knee that gets you the full run, so no issues there. Paint there on the side of the leg, that looks good. The hips are a little fiddly, and so is this backpack, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Ankles, no real ankle tilt down. It's ever so slight, but you do get a toe tilt down, so that kind of helps. You also get a heel spur that you can rotate down to kind of help stabilize for a picture or a pose or something. Some nice black paint there on the inside too. And a rocker that's pretty significant. So yeah, that's it. On the back, so this bit. All right. Where these plug in, it's there. There's a little notch cut out there that this piece goes in, but it doesn't want to go all the way up there, so to speak. In order to do so, it really feels like you're putting tension against this plastic. Now, they've had the luxury of using that nylon material and being able to make kind of sacrifices, but as a result of not using it as much, they have to be careful because this plastic is not going to hold up the same way. Other than that, pretty good looking bot. Size comparison wise, there it is with our usual suspects of the Hasbro Stunticon and the Iron Factory Old School Blaster. And there it is next to Iron Factory Tarn. And the one thing I keep forgetting to do, but we're going to do it now, is to show it to you on the scale chart. So there it is on the scale chart. That's more accurate than I even like to admit. Now we are looking down on it a bit, but that's pretty much straight on there. And actually, as you can see, he's honestly a little big for what he's supposed to be, but that's never bothered me much, so to speak. All right, let's get him transformed. So pull the backpack out. I'm gonna use a tool because this is this little sharp point there to kind of get leverage against. Tuck the head in. You can start rotating the arms up, not having to deal with the pieces pegged in, so to speak. We'll make that a little easier. And then you can kind of put it together. You got to get these pretty close. And then you want to bring up the backpack, extend it, untab these obnoxious pieces here. This is going to come underneath. Then you can tab the arms together with, I'll show you, this tab here on the forearm to the corresponding female end. And it's like, it takes some finagling. Do it on this side, maybe. There. And then you can bring down the gray bits, and they'll come down and peg into the side of the barrel. And now onto the lower legs. So grab these little wheels here and flip up your side pieces, so to speak. I did say that this didn't flip up. It does flip up before. That's a heads up, but it's like the whole one piece, so you're probably better off still using the drop downs like I recommended. All right. Open up this flap here at the back of the calf. Spin this out, and you want to rotate it until this female end latches onto this key. Take the foot, bring it down, spin it around, lock it back in, flip the heel up. Then spin the thigh so that you can collapse it and tab in. Actually, wait. Flip this one piece out here and here. Then you can collapse it, and you're looking to grab on to that part of the butt flap and tab in to the front of the pelvis. All right, same for this side. Untab the thigh, or the calf rather. Take it out, spin it around, keyhole into the side of the calf. Take these pieces so I just don't forget, flip them out ×2. Take your heel, spin it around, lock it back in, flip the heel up, and then rotate it so that it makes sense, spin it back, and you're gonna want to start tabbing all of this in to the butt plate, the crotch plate, the legs into one another. And it's a lot. It's a lot of like connection points. That's pretty close. Flip these parts down. Now, take these pieces, and there's a little notch and there's a little tab there, and get them. And a lot of this is going to come down to tolerances. See, they've changed materials, which I think will all be better for at the end. But with that is also going to come some growing pains. So let me make sure that these are pressed up nicely against the side of the legs. And that will allow that to slot right in and flip over. So once again, like you see how this is sitting out a bit from the side, I'm just gonna move it over to where it's sitting up nice and flush. It pops right in, flip it over. Then just make sure everything is nice and tight. We're good to go. Flip up your little targeting. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. And there it is. And I think it's pretty effective. I think that this paint, you know, they double down on that. It looks good on robot mode, and it comes through in gun mode as well. Same for there. Translucent piece there for the target sight. You know, I think it works. I think it's pretty well done. There's some clever stuff going on here. You know, I did have that sticking together a bit better, but there's a lot of moving pieces in there. And, you know, that might be a little ambitious. I feel like they could have probably done it with less, but I'm sure it can sit tighter there. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. What more do you want? It's a gun. It has the little translucent piece at the top. If you still have the little laser sight in there, you still have the battery that can work. It's fine. That'll work. I don't know. Works well for me. There it is next to Tiger Track. So it's about the length of an MP car, you know? Pretty cool little unit. Final thoughts wise, we'll talk about the negatives. So, you know, I've rode them a bit about their nylon plastic and the effect that it has. Like, that ends up making it feel floppy. It ends up making it feel unstable. It has a hard time for pieces to kind of lock in. It feels gummy. It feels chewy. It just feels of less quality than what it actually is. And they're starting to change. It's feeling less so. We noticed it with the Stunicons. We're noticing it here. But with that is going to come some growing pains. More noticeable, to be fair, with the Stunicons than here, which is already a good sign. But I think that we have to be a bit lenient. That is for those of us who weren't crazy about that super nylon feeling plastic. Now to the rest of you, if you end up liking this, you better keep that same energy and tell me how great the nylon stuff is and how much you miss this, because I can tell you that already this in robot mode feels more stable than a lot of their previous releases have. So while I think it is ultimately a negative that there's still kinks in the system here, simultaneously I think it's worth it. I think it's going to be worth it in the long run, because I think what they're going to be learning here and over their probably next few releases is going to pay off in a major way for the future. And ultimately it will be worth the cost of doing business. Other than that, I still feel a little bit of that floppiness down in the drop down hips area. The tolerances are still a little kind of, I don't know, leave a little bit to be desired. But for the most part, man, most of this comes down to them trying to better themselves, and in the process there's going to be some learning curve. Positives wise, it's well articulated. The sculpt is beautiful. The engineering is interesting. I hate how, like, when we see characters like, say, a Shockwave that we've seen, you know, numerous companies take a stab at time and time again, and it always kind of does the same thing, right? Like Grimlock in a way. And some of that you kind of have to do, right? But the legs here are pretty original, you know, and it's a breath of fresh air. Not because they're so much better than any other company's attempt, but just because it's something new and different. Not a ton of paint, but the approach appropriate places are painted, like the ears and the gray bits on the side of the calves. But then there's also a little bit of extra detail in there, like with the white on the elbows, as well as the black accents inside of the calves. The materials are getting better, the builds are getting stronger. We just have to give them a little bit of time as fans of the franchise and fans of their work. Ultimately, a recommend from me. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.